Hello, and welcome to Roman LLC Vlogs.
I've been so alone ever since I left the tribe. That's just how it goes, guess I like the lonely vibe.
I haven't recorded any vlogs in the past 3 weeks, so I'm going to summarize everything that I've learned in those past weeks in this one video, just to make up for it. In English, I'm learning to write my own autobiography, so I've been reading a sample autobiography to reference from, to learn things from, as part of my assignment. It was written by a man named Jim Lehrer, titled A Bust of My Own. And I've learned quite a few things from it. It's a pretty good autobiography. I really like it, and I wouldn't mind reading it again. Here are a few things that I've learned from reading that autobiography. One of the most important aspects of writing an autobiography would have to be, you want to try and write your autobiography in such a way that you convey what it was like when you were alive. You want to try and convey all that to the audience just right, to keep them interested. You want to input a few of your stories that you've had in your life, like a few of your events, really interesting events, fun events, exciting events, embarrassing events, which I'm not excited about putting in mine. But it's really cool. I like that book, and I'm planning on writing my own autobiography when I'm older. In physical science, I've learned about vectors and scalars, forces and motion, how forces affect motion, and how the forces affect objects. I'm going to explain vectors and scalars. A vector is an object or a variable that has both magnitude and direction, such as velocity. Velocity has speed and direction, and I've learned about a few of the forces that are known in physics, such as gravity and friction and wind resistance and air drag, and natural forces, other natural forces like that. And then there's also another variable called normal force, which is a force that counteracts another force in order to balance out weight, such as you sit in a chair, which is what I'm doing right now. The chair is pushing up with normal force to keep you balanced. In math, I've been learning Algebra 2, 9th grade. In Algebra 2, so far, I've learned about functions and how they function, and how to graph them, and how points work, and about inequalities, how inequalities work, how to graph those as well. And I've learned about transforming functions. So the way a function works is you input a value in the x's place, and then you replace all the x's within the function to support that value, and then you calculate it, and then it outputs a y value, and then you graph the point with the x value that you inputted and the y value that you outputted. And then you do that a whole bunch of times until you have a whole bunch of points that all connect together in a graph. So transforming functions, there's stretching and scaling and translating. So stretching is just multiplying numbers by each value. So if you multiply the whole function by a value, it'll stretch it that many times. If you multiply just the variable, just the input variable by the value, it'll stretch it sideways that many times. So if you multiply the whole value, it stretches it on the y-axis. If you multiply the actual variable, then it stretches it on the x-axis. In public speaking, I've learned a few attributes to implement into my own speeches. If I ever make a speech, I need to learn how to talk correctly, so I'm interesting and I'm not boring, and I'm easy to listen to, because right now I'm still learning and I'm kind of rough on my speech. The way my public speaking class works is I watch a speech, and then my teacher does an evaluation on it, and tells me a few notes to take down. What was good about the speech, and if there's something bad, how did the person who's making the speech fix it? A few things that I've learned that are probably the most important are: make sure that the audience can remember your speech. Make sure your speech is easy to remember. Make sure the points are easy to remember. And when making your speech, try to implement the audience into the speech. Think of how they would interact. Try to make it interactive speech. Like if they start applause, then you want to pause for the applause and wait for it to be over. It gives a sense of inclusion. You include the audience into your speech. And another thing is, don't memorize your speech, because it makes it sound like it's planned, and you don't want your speech to sound like it's planned. You want to write your speech down, read it, try to memorize that, and then go off that. Another very important thing to remember is, if you're trying to help the audience understand a certain thing that you're interested in and that you're most likely an expert in, if that's what your speech is about, and it's not something that everybody knows about, if it's not something that everybody has knowledge of, then you want to make sure that you explain it as simple as possible, and even include presentations to help with the understanding so the audience can understand you. And finally, in business, I've learned about entrepreneurship and predicting the outcome of your market, predicting the outcome of your stocks and your business, how everything's going to work together, how to promote your items and products to get more buyers, get more customers. And this is vlog 1, weeks 1 through 3. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
I've been so alone ever since I left the tribe.